Let's turn our attention now to Israel, and that's where we find Adam Zivo, National Post columnist, has been there for the last few days, going to spend a few more there, in fact, and he is on the line, on our Zoom line. Hi, Adam. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Now, normally when you come on the show, we talk about responsible drug policy in this country. No drug talk today. Now let's talk about the situation in Israel. First things first, why don't you tell our listeners, why you decided to go to Israel for basically a week? What's behind this trip?
Well, I mean, I've always written about anti-Semitism. It's one of my main topics, partially because I grew up with a lot of Jewish friends, and I think that anti-Semitism is disgusting and often isn't taken seriously. And so in virtue of that, I was invited to come out to Israel about a month or two ago by this new Jewish group. It's called Exodus, I believe. Should probably know that. And they essentially put together this itinerary for myself and about 7 other journalists. So we're touring around the country over the course of this week to better understand what the conflict was like and what the harms have been, the lingering harms of October 7th. So we've been in Tel Aviv, we've been to the kibbutzes just by Gaza, where all the massacres happened. I'm currently in Haifa, just outside of a hospital, so it seems like drug policy is inescapable. And we're heading off to Jerusalem tonight.
One of the things, Adam, that you wrote to us ahead of coming on this show is that you're going to be interviewing LGBTQ Israelis who are torn between their hatred of Hamas and their hatred of Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's expand upon that. What do you mean by that?
Well, so I came 2 days before everyone else and basically interviewed a whole bunch of gay Israelis who obviously are dissatisfied with Netanyahu, because they view him as being, somewhat authoritarian. They view him as being corrupt. He's got all these corruption trials that he's dealing with. And in order for him to maintain his government, he had to ally with some far-right parties, which are essentially fascistic in nature, right? And so they're, in a way, influencing his policies, and no one's really happy with that. There's a lot of dissatisfaction with the current government in this country. And of course, for LGBTQ people, this is quite sensitive because this is the only country in the Middle East where it's okay to be gay. In Tel Aviv, it's a very gay city. And there's anxiety because ever since Netanyahu, basically came into power and allied with these far-right parties, people are concerned about what that means for LGBTQ rights. So that's one end.
Yeah. Did you have another point there?
And the other end, of course, is Gaza being, like Hamas basically killing gay people. So, they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. So let's talk about how Israelis are talking about the conflict, right? You're there, you're speaking to them. Obviously, it seems like every day there's a development, and I know there's a back and forth on ceasefire negotiations and what exactly was proposed. And, I'm hearing stuff like, well, they offered 33 hostages, but they wouldn't say if they would be dead or alive. And that was a sticking point here. How are people in Israel following this conflict?
Well, I mean, it depends on who you talk to. In virtue of the people who I've spoken to, so, the LGBTQ Israelis and the people in the kibbutz, we have to keep in mind that kibbutz, like, these are basically communal spaces, like villages that have been kind of socialist in nature. So they're all very progressive. And, there's all these Israelis that really advocated for peace with the Palestinians, who advocated for a two-state solution. Many people in these kibbutzes would drive Palestinians to Israeli hospitals and drive them back. And there's a strong sense of betrayal. There's this desire to show empathy. There's this desire for peace, but they wonder, how is peace possible considering the sadistic violence they saw on October 7th?
We're with Adam Zivo, National Post columnist, who's presently in Israel. So what do you take out of your conversation when it comes to peace, and if peace is attainable? How have the last few days shaped your current thoughts on that?
The thing is, I don't know if peace is attainable in Gaza because Hamas is so powerful and because Hamas seems to have no interest in peace. The main takeaway that I've gathered so far is the immense amount of empathy that a significant portion of Israeli society has for the Palestinians, and the level of community connection between these two groups. I literally just listened to a doctor in Haifa, where I am right now, talk about how his hospital would train Palestinian physicians from the West Bank and would accept Palestinian patients, little kids who have, need dialysis or cancer treatments. And there was such a, there was a strong desire for coexistence. And it feels so sad to see that this is being undermined and ruined by all this violence, that many Westerners are praising Hamas and kind of making everything so black and white, when really the relationship between these two groups is so complicated.
And of course, Adam, the latest news from this morning, Israel forces seizing Gaza's Rafah crossing. What is the sentiment that you've heard from, of the people that you've spoken to, on the desire to, quote unquote, finish the job, right? To go into Rafah and to fight further, say, no, there's a lot of people that have said, no, you know what, take the win, stop there, okay? What is the sentiment from the Israelis you have spoken to on just how far even an unpopular guy like Benjamin Netanyahu should go?
Once again, depends on who you're talking to. For the more progressive Israelis, they want peace. They want the hostages back. That is their primary concern. And they think that if Netanyahu goes too hard and the hostages are lost, then that will affect the solidarity within the country. But then, of course, there's more hardliners who think that Hamas will always be a threat unless it's destroyed, and that offering the Palestinians peace prematurely would set the stage for a further war. So there's a lot of internal debates, and Israel is not united on this issue.
Adam, you're a writer. I'm going to be reading your words after you return from Israel. What do you think you're going to be writing about?
Well, I'm pitching a few different stories. I'm hoping to write a long piece on, LGBTQ Israelis. One of my interviews is a soldier, another one is a drag queen. So you have the whole spectrum here. And I'll just be writing about what I saw, writing about this hospital, writing about people in Hostage Square, which is in Tel Aviv, where, relatives of hostages are advocating for their return. So it'll be very much like on the ground. And I hope to bring you into this trip and help you see Israel through my eyes.
Adam, I want to thank you for joining us from Israel this morning. I appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, thanks for having me.
That's Adam Zivo from The National Post.